Hi there. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can create strong passwords and also sort of develop a password management system that we can replicate in different user accounts that we might have. So to start with this, we'll take a look at some of the features and aspects of a password and what are the things that we should be doing with passwords or what are the things we should not be doing with passwords. So let's start with first taking a look at what not to do with passwords. Here are some password practices to avoid. Do not use the same password for multiple different personal digital accounts. Do not share your passwords with others. Do not create passwords using publicly accessible personal details such as addresses, family member names, and birth dates, etc. Do not forget to log out of shared devices such as school or business-owned computers or tablets. Do not log in with your passwords when you are in public spaces, using unsecured Wi-Fi networks, or logging on to publicly accessible shared devices that could be compromised. Now that we have reviewed some password practices to avoid, let's turn our attention to password practices we should aspire to. To create a secure password, use a mixture of capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, as well as special symbols. Use at least 12 characters or more in your password. Create a base password that can be customized by using a combination of password creation strategies such as the Nursery rhyme method, a year to remember, and a unique modifier. Let's use these strategies one by one to develop a specific password that can be changed and easily remembered when using different accounts. To do this, I will create a sample password for demonstration purposes, so please follow along. The Nursery rhyme strategy. For this strategy, simply think of your favorite saying or phrase. Then, take the first or last letters from each of the words and incorporate it into a password phrase. Here are a few ideas to think about to select your favorite saying or phrase. The first two lines of your favorite song, your favorite quote, your favorite sentence from a book, a memorable nursery rhyme. So, for my password, I'm going to choose a favorite sentence from a book. I will choose to quote from Charles Dickens's book, A Tale of Two Cities, and the sentence will be, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." Now, I'll write out the password phrase using the first letters, IWTBOT. Let's add a bit of complexity by alternating a couple lowercase letters with capital letters to the phrase. We'll change the first and last letter in the phrase to capitals to make the password stem. Capital I, lowercase WTBO, capital T. Now let's add some more complexity to this by thinking of password length. In order to keep it simple, let's just replicate the password and inverse the capital letters, much like this. All right, our password is coming along, but could be a little bit stronger with a few more additions to it. A year to remember. Let's add a number or two. Think of a year that something happened special to your life that is not publicly available. Again, avoid birth dates, dates of address changes, and even anniversary dates. Rather than publicly accessible dates, think about a year that something special happened for you or to you. Perhaps it was the year that you received your first pet or earned your first trophy or honor. You don't necessarily have to give the calendar number of the year. You could modify this with a specific date, or you could use your age for the year you are referencing. For my password, I'm going to use at least 2 digits of the calendar year that I earned my first trophy, which was 1987. I'll simply add these last 2 digits to the end of my password to make the following phrase. Let's add a bit more complexity to the phrase by using a special character or two. In my case, I will use a question mark and a pound sign or hashtag. I will simply place this in between the 2 repeated letter phrases. A unique modifier. At this point, we have managed to include all the different types of elements many digital accounts require for a strong password. Now let's look at how to make our password phrases different for each account in a way that is easy to remember. In order to make your unique passwords a bit easier to remember for each service or application you're using, you can modify or change a base password using a combination of letters from the service provider's name or app name and place them in the same digit space of the base password. For instance, if my basic password is, then I can modify this with a service name in a way that will help me make it different, so I don't have to remember an entirely different password. Therefore, if I'm using Instagram, I can insert IG to change my password to secure my Instagram account. I now have a unique identifier somewhere in the basic password. The placement of the modifier, in this case my IG abbreviation, should be placed in the same digits placement to make it easily interchangeable for use in different account passwords. If you want to further change the unique modifier, you could use different cases, abbreviations, or words spelled backwards even, in relation to the service app or name that you're using. Now I have a password system that is fairly easy to remember no matter what service I'm using. For instance, my Instagram password is now my Facebook password. It can be. Here I also changed the letter case. My Google password is. I changed the letter select pattern of this word. Working through and combining the nursery rhyme, a year to remember, and a unique modifier strategies, I used an abbreviated sentence from a book to include a phrase and varied the capitalization with 12 digits. I thought of a year that I earned my first trophy while adding some special characters. Finally, I created a pattern to make each password unique and different for different digital accounts. And now I have a repeatable pattern of digits that is relatively easy to remember and can be used for my own personal password management system. Before we finish up, here are a few final password tips to consider. Write down your passwords on a paper and keep records in a secure physical location. Long passwords are fine and preferred as long as they are easy for you to remember. It may take a few more seconds to type, but a little longer password is a sign of security. Change your account passwords over to a new pattern at set intervals of time, something like every 4 to 6 months. Just change the representation of one of the methods or strategies per interval. For instance, in 4 months, I could flip the capitalization of the nursery rhyme strategy by changing the password to. I then replicate this change for account passwords used with other services. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you were able to learn a little bit more about the parts of a password and how to put those parts together to create a strong password for one account, but also multiple accounts, and that you can start developing your own personal password system now that you know how to create and combine different elements to a strong password. Again, thanks for watching and have a nice day.